they say our dollar leaves now within a few hours.
Yeah.
We stay in the community a few hours. Where back in the day, we stayed in the community 3 years. Crazy.
So, you know, one of the things I wanted to ask y'all is, as we progress, and I gave just this quick timeline, and a lot of times it's to give people a little homework assignment. It's kind of like you don't want to give them everything. You just want to give them something to spark that thought. As we progressed as black people, and in this middle class, and then of course us being denied loans for mortgages and to start up businesses,
which extended the racial wealth gap even more, because
they had certain banking acts that still, it was supposed to benefit us. They had like the Banking Act of 1933, 1935, but we were still closed out. But once we get our foot in the door and we become this middle class, bourgeois, quasi-elite group of black people, and as we progress and we look at what's going on now, are we replacing white capitalism with black capitalism? Season 2 of Gentleman's History Hour is sponsored by HueRepublic.com, HUE Republic.com. Go to HueRepublic.com and get the latest colors to rep your hue. Gentleman's History Hour, Season 2. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Gentleman's History Hour. I go by the name of Equality.
Hey, it's Rob J10X.
And today we got a special guest. We got the voice of the people, Mr. Elder Voice. How you doing, my brother?
Peace, fam.
Hey, you fam now, man. We had the episode on the HBCUs versus the PW, not verse, but comparing the HBCUs and the PWIs and the graduates. But today we doing all black everything.
Yeah, there we go. There we go.
Talking about my black business, your black business. You know, we're just gonna first start with some good history, man, and work our way up. That's how we like to do with these topics, man. Start bless them with a lesson. Foundation.
You know what I'm saying? We're gonna bless them with a lesson
and build up. Because it started with a conversation. It started with a conversation. Just and I'm not an expert on this. I know it's business owners that's gonna watch this and they're gonna critique this and say, you ain't never owned no business, you can't critique. But from a historical standpoint, we just want to give context, lay some context to how black people are like, what, the second most millionaires in the United States right now?
We are.
You know, and I got to do a small rebuking, man. You know, I've been really intentional about embracing our dominion. You say you're not an expert, man. I say, man, you the chosen one, man, to deliver this information to people. So I ain't no disclaimers. Hey, there's nobody more qualified to speak on this than you, man. So
all right, hey, the bar has been raised, man. the standard. So a lot of times we have moments where we romanticize history. We have and we talk about people that came throughout history and accomplishments that they made. But one thing we tend to leave out sometimes is the economic side. We know about, we can rattle off the names. Oh, Martin Luther King, we can say Malcolm X. We can say Marcus Garvey. We can name these names, but if you start asking people what was the economic component behind it, outside of just the philosophy, the economic component. And just for our conversation today, I want to start with Marcus Garvey.
Let's go. Let's do it.
We'll start 1920s, work our way up. Right? And the reason why I'm starting with Marcus Garvey, because Garvey mobilized a lot of people in Harlem. He had the UNIA. So with Garvey, one of the things when we talk about
what's the UNIA?
The Negro Improvement Organization.
The United Negro Improvement Association.
So with Garvey, it was estimated at one point that he had $1 million from black people, just mobilized $1 million. We talking about the 1920s. So you do the inflation on that. And we talking about organically, you know, just mobilizing people in Harlem. A man that came from Jamaica, coming down here initially to meet with Booker T. Washington, you know, around 1916. So around 1920s, you got this mobilized group of people in Harlem. He got his organization. Estimated $1 million. What did Marcus Garvey do? He went and bought some ships.
Cause he was
labeled them the Black Star Line. Ships. The goal of having those ships was we going back to Africa. Nas and Belly. We going. So from a business standpoint, from an ambitious standpoint, fellas, you got this black man, 1920s, this short, stout black man, raising $1 million.
And dark skin
estimated dark skin brother,
is a whole nother dynamic
during that time.
Yeah,
raised estimated at about $1 million. So supposedly about 800,000 of that went on buying these ships. They couldn't really go anywhere. He had to spend another 80 to 70,000 repairing them, and they never really set sail. Garvey himself, as history would show us, never set foot in Africa, even though his vision and his dream was for us to go to Africa.
Right.
So just starting from an economic business standpoint, you mobilize, you got all of that money.
Yeah.
And your ambition was to buy these ships. So your business sense, as Du Bois would say, he was an incompetent businessman. And they had their rifts, and Du Bois later would live to be an older gentleman. A lot of the other guys died. They didn't live as long as Du Bois. So he did come to terms with some of the mistakes that he made with his critiques on Garvey and with Booker T. Washington.
Yeah.
But I think that was a valid point.
Yeah, I was like, that's, but one of the things you taught me, man, was like, don't apologize for things that you don't feel like were wrong.
Yeah.
And I like, that seemed like a valid critique, right?
Yeah.
And when you do the knowledge on Garvey, and this is not a throw Garvey under the bus for the Garveyites that may still be living and still be around. This is just us as students of history looking at the good that people brought, looking at the mistakes that they may have made as we work our way up and we start talking about business and philosophy and economics. So you mobilize, you got $1 million from all these black people, and you had this ambition, but you didn't have the proper business people around you. And when you start studying the history, that's what you learn about Garvey. He had the capital was there. Just didn't have the right business. And the vision.
He had a great vision. Like his whole vision of what he wanted to do, which was like, hey, America don't want us. They constantly mistreating us. They done screwed us after slavery. They done screwed us doing Jim Crow. They lynching us everywhere. They doing this, do that. You know what? Let's go back home.
Yeah, the philosophy.
The philosophy and the vision was great, but the execution was poor. And you know what? This is something that's continuously plagued our people since then. I mean, what's our man? The man. What's his name?
I got one while you think about it.
PhD dude got the money for the school. Umar, yes. Umar, it make me think of Umar. Vision good.
He'll feel good being in a conversation with Garvey.
Umar watching this smiling right now.
They said Garvey didn't mention me.
Hey, you know he come with a diss track for us next, but no, like the vision. When you listen to him talk about the vision for school and whatnot, it sounds great, but he got the money and people like, where to school?
It's the economic philosophies, man.
Yeah. Live all the way live, I bet you never knew that Houston, we in the house. So where we from, Houston.
This is Flash Gordon Parks, you're listening to Soul One, peaceofmind.com.
On a smaller level, I got to shout out my uncle, man, LeVar Ball. You know what I'm saying? Like big baller. It was a great idea, but making a shoe takes a lot more than just a great idea. So I think it's maybe I guess my theory would be maybe it's two different skill sets, right? You got the visionary, then you got like more the technical organized. It's kind of hard for that to be in one person sometimes.
Exactly.
So okay, 20s. Moving up into the 30s, Great Depression starts to happen. Around 1929, getting into the 30s. What happens in 1930s, we get FDR. Franklin Roosevelt becomes president. He creates what he called the New Deal to get us out of this this Great Depression. A lot of federally funded programs. Now, one thing that it did do was it enabled a lot of black savings and loans banks. Okay. That will come in the 40s.
Yeah.
So you got the New Deal of the 1930s, which springboarded, and you know, people have their philosophies. We ain't gonna get too deep into the New Deal and discussing all that, because we got a lot of ground to cover. But working our way into what a lot of people would call the post-World War II, the 1940s, and looking at, okay, where were black people at in that situation? Coming home from the war, you got a family, you come home, you can't go get a house, you're being denied loans to get a mortgage. So now, 1944, 1948, we get the emergence of some of these banks. I'm gonna go to my phone, just to show, we like to show the importance of having knowledge right in front of your hand. So the Carver is ironic. They had these banks named after George Washington Carver. So the Carver Federal Savings Bank was in 1948. So this was in Harlem. It's considered the largest black-owned financial institution in the United States. Okay. And it has a holding company. So they are there to help homeowners obtain their first mortgages. Okay. Now, keep that thought, right? Prior to them, this was about 1948. And I'm just picking out two. These aren't the first. So for all the people that's watching it. Then we had the Carver Savings and Loan Association, which is around 1944. Both of these after World War II. Black soldiers coming home. Hey, determine now for this one, it said the black soldiers came home back to North Omaha. This is Omaha, Nebraska, of all places. So you got to think, you can't get a loan to get you a mortgage to go and finance, get you a house, right? So this was started, and I'm just kind of going over this real quick, just to give the people that's watching and the people that's listening a nice little timeline of going from the 20s, the Great Depression of the 30s, post World War II in the 1940s, and where black people stand. And that bank in Omaha was started by a doctor and a lawyer. So this is black people starting these institutions. And the reason why I say that, because as we lead into the 50s and the 60s, we get this emergence of the middle class, which is bourgeois,
and the black Anglo-Saxons. That's
class.
The thing Hell said,
So now we're getting into around that civil rights era, the 50s and 60s, the civil rights era. Now you got more black people going to college. Remember, this is post-World War II. More black people going to college. More black people are able to get loans. And more black people are able to get homes. Now that's this whole middle class. The 50s, 60s generation considered kind of carving black people out into that middle class society. And of course, we understand the pros and cons of segregation, integration, and the black businesses that were going on during that time, and supporting black businesses. And we can hear the stories here in Houston, how right outside what used to be called Dowling Street in 3rd Ward, or Lyons Avenue in 5th Ward, it was all black businesses. You talk to your grandparents that were around during that time, they'll tell you, your great-grandfathers, if they still alive, they'll be in support of segregation, saying, hey, that's when the black dollar circulated. And we hear all these stories of Black Wall Street, Rosewood,
they
and all
would
these
say it would
different places.
circulate for almost 3 years before it would leave the community back.
You go to a black theater, you go to a black place, excuse me, to get goods and services.
Black cleaners, black grocery store, black everything.
And then integration came, and Dr. Claude Anderson said they literally thought the white man's ice was colder because the black man that was serving ice went out of business.
No, that's real.
So,
and now our dollar, they say our dollar leaves now within a few hours. We'll stay in the community a few hours. Where back in the day would stay in the community 3 years. Crazy.
So, you know, one of the things I wanted to ask y'all is, as we progress, and I gave just this quick timeline, and a lot of times it's to give people a little homework assignment. It's kind of like you don't want to give them everything. You just want to give them something to spark that thought. As we progressed as black people, and in this middle class, and then of course us being denied loans for mortgages and to start up businesses,
which extended the racial wealth gap even more.
Because they had certain banking acts that still, it was supposed to benefit us. They had like the Banking Act of 1933, 1935, but we were still closed out.
Yep.
But once we get our foot in the door and we become this middle class, bourgeois, quasi-elite group of black people, and as we progress and we look at what's going on now, are we replacing white capitalism with black capitalism? Not necessarily, and you know, there are pros and cons to capitalism. You can argue the good and the bad.
True.
But I'm just saying, for us, are we, and maybe, I'm trying to think of an example of, like, let's just say, you know, and I hate to beat up on hip hop, but a lot of times we say, okay, this person became a billionaire.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate capitalist.
Yeah.
Okay, so he became a billionaire, or he acquired an alcohol company, or a weed dispensary or whatever. So it's almost like and how you make your money is how you make your money. But the capitalistic aspect of, hey, profiting off of, I always use the phrase, hey man, hey, don't buy the white man's death and destruction. Buy my death and destruction. I'm black.
I think the black version might be something worse. You know, when I think about it, because at least with the white capitalism or whatever, we don't view anyone's success as, hey, we're good because there's a chase. You know, but there's black capitalism has this whole, which, you know, I say, like, I'm not from the whole school of one of us make it. I'm from the what's in it for me tribe. You know, so I think black capitalism, in a lot of ways, I mean, it has some more. I'm not gonna say it's worse, but it has some dangerous elements in it because we have a lack of accountability towards, you know, our dollars once we give them to black people. Like, we don't ask for anything in return. We think you being black is enough reason for me to.
And another quick example, I'm gonna throw it out here, is and maybe and I don't know how it goes with other cultures or other ethnicities, but black people celebrate, like, man, he became a billionaire. I'm like, what they got to do with you?
Right. How did
like, I don't know if white people sit and say, this person became a billionaire, let's celebrate that. Right. Or maybe we just so used to not having shit for so long, we just happy
that somebody
like us. So Puffy or Jay-Z or Dr. Dre, and we say, man, they became a billionaire. Oh man, I'm like, nigga, you broke. You got a light bill to pay.
Yeah. And it'll even be different. It'll be something to celebrate to me if you like, oh, this person became a billionaire, and you see how that money is benefiting other black people. So the thing about the reason why white folks don't celebrate that, because the reality is when a white man become a billionaire, where does he live?
Probably lives in
a secluded neighborhood. Well, he has multiple places to live.
And his main residence, what's the racial demographic of that area? More
likely white man gonna live around white people.
He want to be around other people that
look like him, right?
Yeah, and they have the same tax bracket.
Yeah, thank you. When we get rich, where do we live?
Around white people.
we know the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's where the problem lies, is when they get rich, they live around what they own, they spend money with they own, and they dollars continue to circulate within their own. They give money back to their institutions. Mm-hmm. They do all these different things with their own. When we get money, we move around them. The money don't circulate around us. A lot of times we don't give back to our institutions. And then, you know, then we wonder, then we talk about how bad the community is.
Well, we got to be fair, though. We got to, because, like, just compare apples to apples. Let's say a white person was from in Prince George, which I think is known as, like, the most affluent black city.
Prince George's County?
Yeah, Prince George County area. So let's say you're a white person. All the slums in Prince George was white neighborhoods, right? The trailer parks and all of them. All the wealthy neighborhoods was black for the most part. If a white person from the slums came into some money, you think they're gonna build a mansion in the trailer park, or they're gonna go live around these Negroes?
No, they're gonna go and find the wealthy white neighborhoods and they're gonna move there.
But I'm saying, do we have wealthy black neighborhoods? I guess is what I'm saying. Like,
we do have some really, like, just think about in Houston alone. We
right.
got Third Ward on the south side. On the north side, we got Riverside Terrace, Third Ward on the south side. On the north side, we have Shepherd Park Terrace, which is a pretty much all black neighborhood, always been pretty middle class to upper middle class blacks. I mean, you have it on both sides. And then if you go to suburbs, like the neighborhood you said you grew up in, it's mostly middle class blacks, right?
Yeah, but that ain't
and all that. It's middle class to upper middle class.
You don't work all your life to live in Hunters Glen.
But we
man.
want to
No, I'm just saying. Is it a crime rent neighborhood?
I mean,
no.
We want to. It ain't Bompton, but it's.
I got a cap. When I get my money, I got a cap.
Yeah. That's the problem.
When I get my money, I got to show you I'm not like you anymore. Because now I'm aspirational. With black people, we put a lot of stock into aspiration.
Yeah, I feel that.
Influencer houses.
I aspire to be like such and such. I aspire to be like this person. Because a lot of people say support black businesses, man. Support black businesses.
Yeah.
Is there a line, and I'm, this is me just asking y'all opinion, a line between black business and black ownership. Is there a difference?
Yeah, for sure. To me, a black business is just something a black person owns. That's a black ownership. I'm sorry, it's just something a black person owns. Where a black business is a place where it's not just a black owner, but they also hire black and they make products for black people. See, a black business, a black ownership, you don't have to necessarily make products for black people or that's your target audience. You can make it for anyone, but it's just a black person that owns that business.
What if I'm frying chicken? But a fried chicken, I'm making fried chicken for whoever eats fried chicken. So what would that make me?
So you be a black business owner.
But
it's like you don't necessarily have a black business unless you're hiring black people. Your target audience is black people. You know what I'm saying?
I got a good one for you. All right, let's say if I own 10 Popeyes, I own 3 in 3rd Ward, 5 in 5th Ward, 2 in Pearland. I employed 80% of black high school kids. I pay 50 cents. I pay 50 cents higher an hour than all the other Popeyes, right? Yeah. Is my Popeyes a black owned business?
Yeah.
You're the first person I ever heard answer that like that. Yeah. You're the first person.
Really?
Yeah, you're the first person I ever heard.
Even though Popeyes was started by a white person, it's a white family that owns Popeyes. I know a lot of people don't know that. They think Popeyes is a black business.
No, man, if you think Popeyes is a black business, man, kill yourself.
Man, you'd be surprised.
Marketing, man.
Because the way they market themselves.
Oh, for real?
Think about it. It's a black woman that they use for their
Louisiana.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people think Popeyes is a black-owned business, but it's not. I know we just crushed some people saying that today. But if you own you can own franchises within Popeyes.
So the franchisee would make it a black business in your. What about if you think that would be a black business?
You own that franchise of Popeyes.
Yeah, I look at it sometimes with me. I look at it like on a level of home ownership, right? Mm-hmm. You don't technically own it until you pay off the debt.
Yeah.
You the only one see it like that.
You lease it.
You get a real appearance, right?
That's
you
real, though.
Get it. You know, it's like, man, you don't own that house until you pay off that note. Because you're in debt.
You leasing to own, basically.
Yeah, you're
essentially.
Understanding as black people getting into the depths of not only just owning it in face,
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like when you watch Boomerang, they
It's
had
not
Lady
being-
Eloise,
yeah,
and then
it's not
she was
being
just
intentional.
She's the face of the product, and they're like, oh, she don't have.
Yeah.
Because now, of course, they can have boards, they can have stakeholders. It's like when Jay-Z had the title, they showed the picture, and it was like half of the staff looked like some white folks, some Scandinavian white people or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But he was like, yo, purchase my black product. It's my face. So sometimes we get tricked into the marketing of the face of a product. I mean, just hell, when I was a kid watching Georgetown, I thought it was a black school because they had a black coach and they had black players.
That's good. That is pretty good.
So
I
then you
remember
peel
that.
back
I didn't
the
understand. Like, man,
Shout
that's
out to
probably
Victor Page.
3% of the population.
Yeah.
Man, rest in peace,
Yeah.
John Thompson.
Yeah.
As a
real.
kid, I thought, and I'm saying that as a metaphor, that sometimes we look at
Man, that's good. That was
things on
good.
the, like we look at it on the surface of, oh man, and then you peel the layers back, like, hold on,
Yeah.
that's not,
Yeah.
you know.
But, okay, now on the flip
Just
side,
like
right?
with Bad Boy.
Isn't that like? But can I say that? On one hand, can I say, hey, I deserve the right to have white staff working this that up because I'm an owner, right?
Oh yeah, you deserve. Nobody's knocking.
Nobody's
It's
saying
your
you don't
business.
have a right. You do whatever you want, but we're just saying don't call it a black business. Just say you a black business owner.
But
don't call it
if
black
I'm white,
business.
if I'm white and I got a bunch of Negroes dribbling a basketball pass, I'm still a white-owned franchise.
Right.
They just call them the owners.
Yeah,
you
they
notice
just
with
call
black
them
people, they
owners.
always say we want black this.
this,
With white people, they just say he's the owner. They don't say the black owner. They just say he's the owner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean.
And so, but we have to establish that because we're in a different position than they are. And I think, like for instance, there's a school, I won't say the name, but there's a really cool school that opened up in the city, and the woman that owns it's a black woman, and the school sound phenomenal. I was looking into it. I'm like, man, this is a cool private school. It's small. You got all this cool stuff they doing with art and this and that. And I'm like, man, this sound. I'm thinking it's a black school. It's a black woman on the front. She the founder of the school, blah, blah. Then when I go to the website and I'm looking, it's mostly, non-black teachers and staff that work there. And then I'm looking at the student body. I'm like, oh, it's just owned by a black woman, but this ain't a black school.
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah, it's a difference.
It's a slippery slope that I think with black people a lot of times, man, it's to clear our conscience. Yeah, it's like, hey, I'm supporting black businesses for some people, but I think when you just live a black lifestyle, it just becomes second nature.
Yeah.
To where, and I understand the communities are different. Like you said, we're all scattered out. Like it's like the people that are like pro-black on social media, they drive and live in the far suburbs.
Man. That's real though.
I don't want to knock nobody.
I almost coughed some names.
You know what? I remember on Facebook some years back getting into an argument with somebody about that because she was trying to call me out about something. I'm like, well, yo, I live in a black community. I mentor black men. I do this. Where you live at? And then because I knew where she lived. And she lived in Cyprus. And then she got.
I know where she lived.
She got silent. I'm like, don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where your dollars getting spent?
Yeah, the circulation of tax dollars.
Where your tax dollars get spent? It's getting spent in a wealthy area.
But sometimes that's unfortunate because sometimes with whether it's black owned or black businesses, we throw the baby out with the bathwater.
We give a short leash.
We have that, like you said. You say, man, I don't know, but do you demand that of other businesses?
But I do demand that because they gotta buy from me at Stokes. Look, if I spend with you, you gotta spend with me. That's period. So trust me, I'm definitely not holding no black person to no standard. I'm not holding these Edomites to, man. It's like, best believe, they spend with me everywhere. If I'm somewhere spending money, they somewhere spending money back with me. That's my rule.
So because
but a lot of us don't live by that.
Because I also look at it like this. I don't just support. I don't abide by the. I'm just rooting for everybody just because they black.
Yeah.
I mean, your product still has to have some kind of quality, and still, and I don't want it to just be like, buy this because it's black.
Yeah.
No, I want to buy it because it's good.
Yeah.
It's something that's like when I go to the movies or when I listen to, or whatever. I'm basing it off, do I like it first?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to feel like I'm just supporting something just just because then it's like I'm just doing some charity work, and it really doesn't benefit.
Hey, but is that wrong to be like, hey,
nothing's wrong with that
what's in it for me? Like, what if, hey, look, you go to business, and let's just say, hey, some kids in your community having a robotics competition. You go to a business you support, they don't support the competition. Hey, is it wrong for being like, hey, if y'all can't support the competition, you can't get my dollars? Or
no, that's fair.
That's fair.
But I'm just saying, be like that across the board. Don't just be like that
when it comes to black folks.
Okay, I feel that.
Be like, and a lot of times we're not like that because, once again, aspiration with black people. The people that preach black this, black that, as soon as they get money, everything that they talk about is European inspired.
Yep.
That's a good one. That's
even when they go vacation, they say, "Hey, it's rare you hear black folks say, hey, you know what? When I get money, I'm gonna go to Ghana, I'm gonna go to Nigeria, I'm gonna go to." They say, "Oh, I'm gonna go to Italy, I'm gonna go to Tulum, I'm gonna go to."
Yeah,
well,
you know what I'm saying?
It's the marketing.
It's
marketing.
Yeah.
It's marketing. The marketing is even in America at a certain point, rappers start saying, "I'm driving foreign."
Yeah.
So, once again, the aspiration of it. Even with Asian culture, a lot of times, you'll see, I'll see certain rappers and I'm like, man, y'all promote Asian artists. Y'all damn near support Asian culture more than finding, black artists. And sometimes it takes them a while because I understand, with capitalism and how it works. And aspiration is like, oh, I want to show people that I got some money. A lot of times to show people that I got money, it's not going to be, now it's beginning to be a lot more open, but in the past, you didn't hear rappers, entertainers making reference to making it seem like having something black was just as important as having something Italian.
I feel you on that. Hey, not
or having something German engineered.
That's real.
Hey, I ain't trying to be petty or nothing, but just from my personal belief, with this being the soil that we from, hey, Ghana ain't my soil, so I don't care if you go to Ghana or Germany or wherever. It ain't that much of a difference.
But even if it's not your soil, you have an ancestral link to it.
That's your soil.
So why would you?
Bro, I feel like I was here, bro.
I'm saying, you are here, but what we're saying is, if you have a chance, you can go. It's your money. My thing, when it's somebody's money, I don't tell them what to do with their money.
Yeah,
sure.
But I think the thing is, a lot of cultures, especially in the Jewish community, they're not gonna let their kids grow up and forget the history.
Okay, I feel you on that.
So if your kids, you like, hey, we're gonna go, we're gonna go here, go there, so they have a sense of pride.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like I come from a time when you call somebody African, it was fighting words.
Yeah.
African booty scratcher, this and that. It was no sense of pride in that.
No pride.
But it's like spending money in Africa, circulating dollars. Any
We're not
different
talking about spending money there. We're just saying the idea
saying the mindset.
And even with spending money, the idea of, hey, if you're gonna promote certain things, if you're gonna post pictures of all your trips going to all of these European countries
or South American countries,
but then on Kwanzaa you want to put on and you want to dress as if you went to Ghana.
I can
you pick and choose like.
Be consistent.
Yeah, like it's not a Halloween costume when you could take that same money and go somewhere else. Or if you going, you ain't posting no pictures of it.
Look, Ghana been begging for us to come.
Well, you got dual citizenship.
Yeah, they like, yo, you come, be here for 2 years, you can get citizenship. Like
and that's just one. Africa is a huge continent. And sometimes you need to go. Sometimes you need. I understand. Sometimes you need to go to break certain misconceptions. It's just like there are certain people that they have a misconception of black people here in America that are from other places. Then they come here and they just think, oh, we just some ignorant black people that they can run game on.
I ain't gonna lie, my heart has been hardened towards the people across the pond. I don't know, they might be some nice people. My heart done got hardened. I feel like this the soil here, but I'm willing to.
But there has to be some
there
has to be some point of unification.
There has to be.
Because when it's time, like I gotta know that this person is on my team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No matter where they come from, we have a certain embedded culture.
I wasn't like that in college. In undergrad, I had a certain love, but I was meeting more people too. We was going through something. I had my room. I had some. But
even that, with what you're saying, a lot of places were colonized.
Yeah,
but at the same time,
they start to think negative about us.
But at the same time, we've been colonized here too. So
that's fair. That's fair.
We mano. But I think there's
bridges that's being
learning.
built,
So we start talking about the dollar circulating, and we start talking about money, and really getting people to think like what I hold people feet to the fire sometimes also is when we see certain people that are in front of black culture and black events, and they like buy this or do that or saying black love or whatever. And I'm saying some of these entertainers and people, what I wonder is your existence.
Yeah.
How much of a black existence are you living? Meaning, is your entertainment lawyer black?
Right. Right.
Is like do you have the money? you have the money and the influence to do that. You know, shout out. Take for instance, we're doing a podcast. One of the people that would consider the godfather of the podcasting game was Combat Jack.
Yeah.
Combat Jack used to be an entertainment lawyer.
Yeah.
The word is, all of the rappers went to Combat Jack when they were up and coming. Once they got their deals and they became famous,
deuces.
He had to become a podcaster.
Yeah.
Man.
Because to take it to another level, black is cool to start with, but if you really want some, you got to leave the blackness behind to elevate.
And you gotta trust. You gotta have trust in.
I don't
black
believe
people.
that. Let me say, I don't believe that. That's a mindset that people have.
But then you have to have a trust in black people in understanding, like, okay,
like we say, trust black women, trust black people.
There are competent black doctors, lawyers, architects, engineers. You know, tech people in the tech world. First, we gotta have that understanding of like, okay, I trust black people.
Man, I got so much pushback on our IG page when I posted, which I felt like was a valid point. When Emmanuel Acho pointed out, like, Brian Flores, you're suing the NFL for discrimination, and you're using a firm that has 19 white lawyers and no black partners and no like.
Yeah, because that money, because now you're paying for those kids, those lawyers' kids' education.
Yeah, but hey, I was the bad guy for that. You know what I'm saying?
Because people get caught up in the emotionalism and stuff, and they don't critically think behind it. They just see, the face of it. And then you say, why couldn't you get a black firm to do that?
Yeah.
But you know what ESPN to do on the flip side? They'll go get Angela Rye to sit on TV to show, hey, but they owned by Disney. You know, so, or they're under the same umbrella with all of these companies. But it brings me to another point before we start wrapping it up is, and I'm glad you brought that up, generational wealth.
Yes.
So we hear that term a lot of times with economics and black people. We say, well, generational wealth. And I just recently started hearing it. So I'm asking y'all, what's y'all definition of generation? When y'all hear that word, that buzzword, generational wealth, because black people say, hey, man, I'm doing this, man, for generational wealth.
Well, I mean, you think about it, it's like what Wu-Tang said, you know, my kids get with your kids and your seed get with my seed so they can eat. And you know what I'm saying? I think it's about thinking about the generations after you. It's not just about how much you can consume now. It's about like, no, I'm putting these things in place so that my great-grandkids can eat. And maybe my great-great-grandkids can eat. I mean, because we think about like a area like River Oaks, right, in Houston. That's old money. That's long money. Most of the people, the kids I work with, a lot of them don't know where their money came from.
But they said. Working for them is an option. It's an option, man. Yeah. Or they have the parents' business to fall back on. But one thing that I will say, rest in peace, Dr. Africa. He made a comment. He said a lot of times in the westernized culture, they create people to create better things. In the East, they create people to create better people. When you start thinking about generational wealth outside of just a generationally wealthy asshole kid that didn't have to work for shit. Right? The Kardashians have generational wealth. Oh, for sure. And they kids gonna eat, and they kids gonna eat, and they kids gonna eat, and they kids gonna eat. Maybe. When we start thinking about how many people are we creating? Like the product, the natural resource of a human being. And balancing that with that wealth. That's when you get that. That's when you get that brilliant kid that studied the philosophies of Marcus Garvey, that also understands the economics of if I can get $1 million from all these black people following me, now what can I do with that? Now how can I take that and have competent business people around me if I'm saying we gonna separate?
That's good. I
never thought make that a reality.
Part of generational.
Yeah.
So we say generational wealth, and we really just raising little egotistical capitalists.
Yeah.
And if that's what you want to do, then that's fine. But where's the balance?
The wealth is the knowledge.
Yeah, where's that balance of
it's understanding,
creating a better human being?
Yeah. I think on a tangible level, though, I do think there is a tangible element to it, because I look at some of my friends, like, one of my partners, John Dew. When I used to rent the townhome that he lived in. Now his brother lived in that townhome. He had lived in that townhome. Both pretty much when they graduated from school, they started out, they emerged in the real world, living in this townhome that their grandma had left to them. But that townhome allowed them to save up, to be home buyers ahead of all of us, to be on a second job. I think John might be on his third, fourth property. I'm still working towards property number one.
So
I think so he got and not to say he wouldn't have had it without that, but that he was able to get, but one of the greatest things I believe you could leave to your people coming after you, your descendants, is a head start.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And his grandma left him a little bit of a boost. Yeah. So I do think there's a tangible element to it. My grandfather, passed away when I was 16 years old, graduated from college. Hey, there was a little bit of money waiting for me, So if I had an idea or something like that, So I do think there's a tangible generational wealth element.
Well, it's a this and that. So you want to leave a tangible, and then you want to leave the thing that can never be taken away, the intangible, which is the knowledge, the spiritual aspect. You want to leave, because that's the real wealth, because that helps you manage all the tangible things. If you got the knowledge, you got the wisdom, then in every season and in every aspect of life, you're going to know how to hit it and how to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's the real wealth, because how do you know the next generation going to be wise? You can spend all your life purchasing land, buying homes, but if the next generation ain't wise, they just going to squander it, and it was all for naught.
I would say this, one way of just starting generational wealth is having an insurance policy on your life.
Yeah.
A lot of times people have a whole lot of money, man. Then when they pass away, man, they got to do a GoFundMe, and I'm like, yo, homie was balling at the spots,
well, that's
popping
also
bottles and doing this and doing that.
Yeah.
Now y'all need my help to bury him, and now his kids don't have anything.
Sometimes they do have life insurance, but it takes a while for you to get that. There's a difference between life insurance and burial insurance, and that's what a lot of people don't have. It's the burial insurance. They might have the life insurance.
Well, all of it. I'm just saying life insurance. Some insurance, and thinking about if you have kids, and even if you don't, what happens after you. Because one thing that I know white people care about is their legacy.
So speaking of that, I told somebody gave me wisdom, my older cat. He was like, don't wait till you die to leave your kids an inheritance. Why don't you leave it to them now while they're here so they can see it? So when I thought about that, I'm like, damn. So my wife and I, we intentionally want to live in a black community, so we do, but we also want to spend less on a home because we knew we want to invest in our kids' education. Our kids go to private school. You know what I'm saying? And, we invested in their education on that tip. And then my son, he has a private tutor, so he ain't even in school yet. He's one-on-one with a private tutor every day, because we like, if we could invest in them now with the education, nobody could take that.
It's a balance, man. It's generational.
We decided instead of flossing and living in Pearland, Sugarland, and Woodland.
Health is wealth.
Hey, Mark Zuckerberg, dad was a dentist, had a computer programming coach coming over every day.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey.
That's the wealth.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the wealth.
But hey, fellas, man, it's been a enlightening conversation, man. Hopefully this has inspired people critically think about things, don't just judge things on the surface, man. So, I forgot to say this at the beginning. I always forget to say this at the beginning, man. Subscribe. Hit the like button, man. Let the knowledge circulate. You know how we say the dollar circulates?
Yeah.
Let's let the knowledge circulate at the same rate that the dollar needs to come and start circulating in our community. I want to say thank you, Elder Voice.
Yeah, man. Hey, dog, I was glad to see you, man.
Hey,
peace out, man.
Yeah.
Hey, support each other. Love, peace. Gentlemen's History Hour. Peace, peace, peace. If you're watching this on YouTube, man, hey, y'all, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. This is Gentlemen's History Hour.